What's up, guys? Welcome to High Times with C-ZAR, where we watch movies 420 style and give it a high review. Today's watch, HOKUM. So this was the movie I got to go watch last Monday, as I told you guys. 420 for me was a pretty good day, pretty good high. The movies I got to watch were just the icing of the cake to it. I don't know, man. Pretty good day for me. To start off, well, spoiler alerts. The short story for this film is about a well-known writer who is having a difficult time writing his last book for his trilogy. Now, he has a drinking problem, you can say, but for me, I believe it comes from his suppressed grief from a childhood trauma that also has led him to drown out his guilt for what happened at that age, you can say. Having an encounter with a loved one makes him go to Ireland and fulfill the goal of scattering his parents' ashes near a tree by this hotel that they went to for their honeymoon, right? Now, this trip leads into him having a near-death experience, which then involves him finding out that the employee who helped him out has gone missing, which goes into a whole trip of him trying to find her and help her out as well, which includes a witch. And, well, I'm not gonna lie, she was scary, but as the movie goes on, you find out about her intentions, but at the same time, it also brings out more truth to the hotel than what the folklores were already told about it. The way I perceive this film is that it touches on folklore. Now, if you're not into the religion or spirituality talk, then you might want to skip this, but that's Scrappy did. Well, the movie talks about folklores, right? But it talks about like Ireland stuff. But here's some stuff that I grew up with now. So for like the religion wise, like if people was to call you around 11, 12 at night and you're already in bed at home, you know, you don't want to go out. That's the fucking devil calling you to go out. Like, what fucking bad intentions is there at that time at night, you know? And for the other one, it would be like when someone is trying to change your life, you know, and someone from the past hits you up that you know causes you to go to some havoc lifestyle, you know. That's the devil also trying to hit you up for the last temptation. In my opinion, I have had that a few times, but you know, in the end of the day, you just gotta stick to your roots, you know, stay where you are. Now, I'm not saying I'm a religious person, but this is some religion, you know, as a Catholic growing up, this is what we were always told. So for the whole spirituality and oral thing, what I mean to say is like this. My sister, she's a spiritual person, and well, such beliefs is like this. You can sense and vibe off the person's aura, I guess you can say. I have heard situations where people who are into spirituality hang around with certain people, and the minute they feel something off, they'll like cut them off, and to find out sooner or later that that person was actually a snake in their life, you know, or someone that wasn't positive at all. I have heard stories of coworkers saying that they didn't feel the aura of their coworker and that they were bad energy, just to sooner find out that they were bad energy and that no one really liked them because of how of a bad worker they were or how backstabbing they were, you know. Lastly, the one conversation we had about one time was how if someone you know is a degenerate, you know, you can say, or does such activities like drugs or alcohol, you know, they can have a such bad spirit clenched onto them. And when you yourself, who is clean or anything like that, starts to get involved in that situations, you know, that bad spirit also latches onto you and can cause you to go into doing such bad actions, you know, into a degenerate life and staying there sucking on those bad energy you're creating yourself into, you know. Now, I'm not going to say it's true or not because I don't know, you know. I don't really believe in none of these situations, religion or spirituality things. I just believe in actually being a closed-minded person. I believe that you are capable of your own responsibilities. But at the same time, these are just folklores, in my opinion, you can say. Now, do I feel close-minded? Yes, I feel close-minded. But at the same time, there are some things I actually believe in, some things that I feel like are true, can be capable of happening or be possible to be true, you know. I'm not saying that everything is true. I'm not a religious person or a spiritual person like that, but I do believe in certain folklores and some stuff can be true. Now, am I close-minded? Maybe, but at the same time, I don't do mushroom truths either, so I don't know. Now, why am I talking about all this? Well, because there's a scene in the movie where Adam's character is going up the elevator, and as he's going up, you see the witch behind him. It then cuts to where we see his attempt of the situation, and as everybody from the hotel is trying to get him down and everything, we get an image of the figurine of a witch in his hand, which gives us the hint that, you know, the witch was the one behind all of this. Now, all of this plays out in the end when the employee that Adam's character was being mean to earlier comes and confesses that he had spiked his flask earlier that night with some mushroom juice that the homeless man Jeremy had told him about earlier the movie. Now, spoiler alerts, like I said, but towards the beginning of the movie, Jeremy tells us about how he drinks mushroom juice every day because it keeps him seeing the creatures and the monsters that are out in this world that feed off energy and makes people do such heinous crimes in their life, or the decisions that they create for themselves. Well, as he does this, he's also given the hint that those who do not do that or drink his juice or can't see these monsters and creatures are close-minded people, what they call, because they don't know how such creatures exist in this world, and they believe that everybody has their own free will and responsibilities. But in reality, we do not see them, but in reality we don't see them, but yet there is such creatures out there that can do such things, such like a gremlin, you can say. Now, like I said, these are my opinions and the way I interpret the movie. Now, I could be wrong, I could be right, I don't know. Half of the times I'm really fucking high in that movie, but at the same time, I would like to hear your guys' opinions, so if you can leave a comment or whatever, let me know. It also touches about how suppressing, drowning, or even trying to numb out the pain, drama, childhood memories, or even childhood drama can cause you to become a bitter person as an older life comes into you, where it can cause you to become really self-absorbed and have to hide yourself from the world, or even try to be nice to anybody in this world because you grew up feeling like a victim your whole life, or trying to hide such guilt in yourself that you can't talk to anybody else because you feel like they wouldn't understand you. It also shows how someone can be self-absorbed in their own treasure of finding happiness that they forget to look for anybody else's happiness or try to be a friend to somebody who is out there to actually be helpful to him or supportive of him, and they just use them for their advantage, or even in the end just forget about them, or just in the end you're just hurting people who actually love you, I guess you can say. Towards the end, it touches on how such actions of yours can cause you to go into such a dark path and become something that you're unthinkable or even known for, or were known for in the past. Finally, it shows in the end how truly dark and empty rock bottom is, and how suppressing such drama can cost you to your death or can eat your life away slowly. But at the same time, it shows that you can be forgotten and lost within yourself from doing such actions. Yep, there is ways to help yourself out on these situations, or like in the movie, to help him survive. What he does is to finally forgive himself for whatever he had done in the past, and to forget or to not even think about anymore about this past trauma that he has suffered with his childhood memories. To do such things, it's for your benefit and for you to be ready to change yourself into a better self, Also to go out and help such people who have been there for you from the beginning when you were needing it, this and that, because everyone goes through such hard times in their life. Shit, I know I have. But at the same time, it also shows us that we should go out there and help other people who may need it more than what we think, other people who are actually more in need of it than what we are. Besides all of this, it does give us some great valuable lessons towards the end. It shows us how just because someone's in a dark path in life right now doesn't mean they can't be helped and changed, But at the same time, it also tells us to not go out and be taken advantage by this person, because there is people who decide to take advantage of such helpful people, Now, it also shows that if you're in a dark path of life, do not push those away from you who are trying to be there for you and trying to help you out, Because even though that person might be helping you out, it doesn't mean that they have nothing going on in their life. They can actually have a more difficult life than what you're already facing, and yet they're out here trying to help you out, It gives us the repeat lesson of never judge a book by its cover, as some people can perceive the nice guy to be the friend, that we all wanted, and can be the one who is supposedly trustworthy. But in reality, they can be the one who's actually the villain and do such things to take advantage of others, or feed off energy, or to even just protect their public image and manipulate the situation on how they can, While the people that we perceive the bad guys or villains, as in this case, we are actually finding out they are the good guys towards the end, They're the ones out there to trying to help you out, who are actually the hero throughout the whole thing, who actually are not there to do anything wrong for you, but to actually help prevent such situations in life, It's like what I was told one time, that a true friend would not be a yes man, I guess you can say it like that. And lastly, to never push anybody who sees you as an idol, or even someone who is trying to actually create a true, genuine friendship. Because in reality, friendships are always needed in life, Who is someone that you can talk to or hang out with when you're bored or, want to go out or do something in life, Also, it shows how these people can be the ones who are there for you when needed for a life or death situation. Now, I will say it did such well being a horror film. As it was a mystery movie, I didn't know what it was, but they advertised it as a nightmarish movie, which I'm not gonna lie, it did pretty well because goddamn, it had me thinking for a while still, and still has me thinking like how true such spirits can be the ones who create such chaos in your life. Now imagine I had done a freaking full blunt before going in, so when the first 10 minutes there was a jump scare, and I'm not gonna lie, I never really get scared with horror movies, but this one actually had me jumping when the first 10 minutes and had me thinking like, damn, okay, I was like, I have not felt this for a minute. Now, most horror movies, they go for the jump scares in this, but this one is more of a psychological type of thing because the jump scares wasn't really necessary. They didn't rely on them, and when they did come on, they did an amazing job. They weren't overused or, anything like that. They were done on the right timing and all that. It actually focused more on the storyline and having you suspense throughout the film, which I ain't gonna lie, it did, because I was just thinking like, damn, what the fuck is it gonna happen? Like, I was just ready for what was gonna happen and hoping that the next part was gonna help him out on this investigation where Fiona could be at, Now, I will say there was some humor into the movie, but I'm not gonna lie, it did not mess up the pace or tone of the movie, which for me, I like, I like a little comedy, and also it just relieves you from the whole tragic scenes that are going on, at the same time. But in the end, I'm not gonna lie, what made me more in love with this movie was the use of folklore. It's something that has been done many times, but this one takes it into a different direction, and how it can actually make you think like why friendships or why certain people do such things in their life, And for me, I love folklore, but I also love how they used it to represent such drama and stuff throughout the film, throughout someone's life, you can say. Now, I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to the producer / writer from this movie, to Damian McCarty. With this movie, he is now added to my watch list, and someone that I can just feel like he's going to do such well in the future with different projects. I also went into a brief history of his, and damn, like if you're an upcoming filmmaker or want to be a filmmaker in the future, read into his stuff, because it is something inspiring for me and for other people like you guys who are out there trying to do this filmmaking thing happen. And lastly, Adam Scott's performance in this movie was fantastic for me. Now, I have been a big fan for him for a minute, because ever since I saw him in Step Brothers, man, I just fuck with him. He's just a funny guy, and I just love how he's been embracing and doing more of these psychological thrills. Man, Severance, great ass show. You should watch it, I swear to God. I cannot emphasize how much that show has been fantastic for me and for a lot of people. I mean, they've been nominated in the Emmy, so I'm guessing they are actually good. For my high review on this film, well, I give it a 9 out of 10. Not gonna lie, it was amazing. Did such good way of having the genre of horror in it, including all of the psychological storyline, having you think, and all of these folklores representing something in life. It is cool and weird how a movie about subjects that me and my sister and other people have been talking about comes out recently, and it's just weird how the world works. But for recommendations, I definitely recommend this movie to anybody who wants to go and watch something and keep them suspense and thrilled out the film and have them be psychologically scared. It's just an amazing movie to watch. And we'll see you guys. And to finish this, guys, as usual, bye. Have a wonderful time.